Welcome back to the Nerd Cave for this edition of Save Toys. I'm your toy-loving host, Travis, and today is a very exciting edition of Save Toys. My enthusiasm is up as we welcome Loryn Stone, the editor-in-chief of Toy Wizard. She's been a big help to the Save Toys channel, and we're so excited that she's joining us here today. So stay tuned as we have a great conversation where we discuss toys, Kiss, and you'll just have to stay tuned to see the rest. Thank you. Just like Santa Claus on December 25th, another episode of Save Toys come and gone. This is Travis with Save Toys, and we're speaking with Loryn. Loryn, I messed your name up, I'm sorry, from Toy Wizard. You're going to have to forgive me a little bit. There's a little bit of celebrity worship here going on, so if I stumble over a few things, but welcome to Save Toys.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
First off, I want to start. I love like comic books, like origin stories. So, can I get your origin story and the origin story of your company?
Of course. Yeah, thank you for asking. Okay, so I guess my origin story kind of bleeds into the origin of Toy Wizards. So for me, the long and short is I've always been a writer by trade. I started writing stories when I was 7 years old and continued up through college. I majored in creative writing, wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. Everybody thinks they want to be a novelist. So that's just what was going on. As time progressed, the whole idea of the internet column, article, kind of internet writing was starting to become more and more popularized. Of course, I had seen other blogs and stuff like that before, but it never occurred to me that like what websites just had these daily articles. And then one day, just kind of seizing the moment after my mom passed, I decided to submit some pitches to crack.com. So they accepted, and I wrote maybe about 9 articles total with crack.com. And then after a while, that I just couldn't hit the voice, and it's no disrespect to their outlet or what the content they produce. I just couldn't, whatever they were looking for, I couldn't do anymore. So I did a couple more guest posts on other websites and just was sort of in the guest posting blog sphere for a while. And then finally I was like, I'm going to make my own because I have a lot of articles in my head, things I want to say that just weren't getting accepted on other outlets. So it started as a blog, and then I said I want to make this bigger. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to rebrand it as something that's not like Loryn Stone the blog. Just and I don't mean to sound. I want to say this with humility, but I didn't realize that my work, my branding, could like people would care about. I'm like, remove yourself and just make it kind of more for everybody. And so I rebranded my blog as Pop Lurker. And I found that I was, again, I'm not trying to brag, this is just the fact of it. I was very good at marketing. I was very good at building this brand and getting those articles for a tiny, tiny single person. I was getting pretty good at getting that work out there. And I had guest contributors and guest writers. And from there, it took notice to other nerd media websites who kind of wanted to see what, if they saw what I was doing for myself, can I do it for them? And, those relationships fizzled out and severed. And then it kind of started trickling into the toy world. And I'd met my business partner, Scott Zillner, who's, renowned in the toy collecting world, toy painter, has been in toy design, and um, he has the Power Morphicon convention. So this guy is really has his own layers over here. And then we met and became very good friends. And then he pitched to me, he's like, I've had this idea for a toy news website for years, and I don't exactly know how to get it off the ground, but you're very good at getting websites and brands off the ground, and I collect toys. I love toys. I've loved toys my whole life. I've had a very immersive imagination and always played really well and made big worlds and stories, writer. And so finally he said to me, he's like, do you want to partner on this and try to get this toy news website off the ground and see what we can do with it? And I said, absolutely. And he said, okay, it's called Toy Wizards. So I was like, let's go. And we went into beta December 2018 and just kind of posted a little bit just to kind of see what toy news was out there. Like we all knew, everyone involved knew that we loved toys. We all knew that we collected toys, and some of us collected different things and some overlapped, but we all kind of had our own voices and experiences for the most part. So we were just kind of grabbing toy news and just, starting to put our ear to the ground to see what that meant to post toy news and what the differences were between, staunch collecting and presenting toy news and then writing about it, and that whole thing goes with it. And then January 2019 we launched officially, and even when we were in beta, our website got more hits in that short 2 week time span than I know a lot of people get in a month or
Mhm.
in a year, depending on the size of it. So it took off, and so we've been doing Toy Wizards 100% actively since January 2019, and it's just been this monster, and I'm so grateful to be part of it.
Well, I love your work, and we have similar backstories. I've loved action figures since I was a kid. I grew up with the original Motu stuff in the '80s, and I used to be a preacher. I'm an EMT now, but I used to preach to my toys because unfortunately, in the Christian world, everything, at least the one part that I grew up in,
Mhm.
everything was sinful. Like He-Man, they were sinful. Ninja Turtles, they were sinful. And so I remember I was like 6 years old. My childhood mindset, I can fix this. I lined up all my He-Men on my bed. I preached to them. They all got saved. That's where Saved Toys came from. I'm like, did I fix the problem for everybody? Like, no, no. So, but I never gave up toy collecting. And I like what you were saying a minute ago about collecting.
Mhm.
Our catchphrase with Save Toys is, if you like it, collect it. I feel like collecting is very personal. Like you can collect certain waves, you can army build, you can do certain not genres, but certain uh, oh, you can see my brain doesn't always work as fast as my mouth does. But different franchises, it should be collecting whatever you want, how you want, and
Mhm.
it's cool for someone to have a different style of collecting and you to have a different style. So yeah, very similar origin stories, but you have great work. Yeah, I'm going to keep on hero worshiping. Like, I remember when I started Save Toys about 2 years ago, you were one of the first big names that's put anything up about me. So, uh, and with that, my next question, we have some very similar interests. I watched one of your videos the other day. I am, another thing, unlike most Christians, I'm a huge Kiss fan.
Yes.
Um, yes, my last episode, I reviewed a Kiss album and talked a little bit about it. I film everything a couple months in advance just so that my Save Toys premium members always get stuff. If we get hurricanes, we have to do evacuations and things like that with EMS. So I try to make sure they always get their product earlier than everybody else. But tell me about that. When did you start being a Kiss fan?
Oh my gosh. I love Kiss, and it's funny that you mention, being a Christian and being into Kiss, because really, their music. All right, let's start with the makeup. At the time, in the '70s, the makeup was considered outlandish. Their presentation, Gene was spitting blood, rockets. Some of their songs were about sex, but in the big picture, they're very tame. I'm Jewish. Um, but that doesn't mean we can't have a conversation. I always feel like it's not the content, and this goes into Motu as well. It's not the item that's necessarily the issue. It's what you do with it.
Yes.
So, that goes into, is your Motu action figure an issue for Christianity or any other, religious outlook, or is it, does the gun kill people or do the people kill the people? And I think it's so endearing that you preach to your toys. I guarantee you, like, I don't think anyone else ever did that, and I think that's endearing and sweet. Um, Back to the Kiss question. I got into Kiss, I think I was 18. So I was not one of those like kids into Kiss. And I know that they've always been marketed as like a family band, which is funny to me, because I think there's a quote from Paul Stanley, Star Child, who was like, we're a couple of dudes on stage, singing about women. Why are we a family band? I think that's like in the '70s, and they started realizing, but it's the
Well, they
merchandise.
sing a lot about empowerment too. I from the Elder album, a bunch of it's
Yeah.
really fun and empowering.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just love Kiss. I was attracted to their music because it's just it's classic, catchy rock and roll. Like, I loved each character. Gene is so outlandish. Paul's the Star Child is so fancy. Ace as the spaceman is so mysterious and brooding, and the rockets and the science projects. Like, it appeals to me on that level. And then Peter's just a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I just love their music. And then for me, this is a family friendly podcast, I won't stick out the tongue, but I realized through my love of Kiss that I have a long tongue. I had no idea. So when my best friend got really into Paul Stanley and she was always making the face,
Uh-huh.
I was like, well, Gene inspired me to pick up the bass guitar. I was like, he's so cool, he's so powerful. I'm gonna stick out my tongue like him. I literally did it in front of a mirror and I was shocked.
I
I
used to
just
make my wave at people, you know.
yeah. I just didn't. It was one of those things where like I had no idea I had a long tongue until I started listening to Kiss and I was like, "Oh, look at that. Here we go."
I dressed up like Star Child for a Halloween thing with one of my jobs one time, and then my bank manager in North Carolina, where I'm from, she had her 50th, and they were like, "Man, you got to do something." I dressed up completely like Gene Simmons. Then I went to some other places. You know how many times the police were almost called on me because my friends didn't recognize me? They were like, "We're hitting the red button," you know. Gene Simmons does the red stuff from Rentway, you know. And I
You're the
walked
wild
in,
one amongst your friends, aren't you?
man, and I used to have a big collection. I actually gave to a friend before I moved here and got married to my wife now. So, yeah, can we all agree Ace is the best?
Ace is the best. I'm always saying like my business sense. I love Gene Simmons. He's a visionary and he's a
Mhm.
very good bassist. I think he doesn't quite get enough credit. I think his bass playing is sincerely great, but like if we're talking about just that like magnetic energy, it's Ace. And most people I know are just we zero in on Ace. And I'm always saying in my own videos, like nobody sounds like Ace Frehley when they pick up a guitar. Like nobody else sounds like Ace Frehley. Like you can tell. In the same way, some people will say like, "Oh, I know it's Jimmy Page." Like I know it's Ace Frehley, 100%.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I keep losing my train of thought. It's okay. That's in my brain. I've come to grips with it. But I started probably about 21, 22. I was always born during the wrong time, is what I tell people. I used to have a Simon and Garfunkel Sound of Silence album signed by both of them. Elvis was a big fan of his. And what I kind of like about Kiss, a lot of them, I'm not putting people down, but I'm also a big student of music because there are some bands out there that were, and they'll admit a lot of times when they're heavily influenced by Satan, they'll admit it themselves. They don't have to be assumed, but in airing a lot of Christians, and I'm a staunch Christian, but I'll call out wrong when wrong is there. They
Mhm.
see something like that and they don't dig any deep. That's just Satan. But they're more of akin to superheroes, which brings us to all this stuff, you know, is
Yeah.
and it was brilliant. Putting on makeup, you can live a lot longer. Of course, they unmasked the year I was born, '83, but they were more about superheroes and sci-fi. And I like what Paul Stanley said in his book. You know, you can watch it on a science fiction movie and it's okay. You put music, it's Satan, and that's just it's uneducated. And I'm not putting them down because there's a lot of things I'm uneducated. People can call me out on. All of us are that way, but a lot of it is instead of understanding it, they just lump it in with the bands that really were there. There was I can name them out, but I'm not. That hey, they came out and say, hey, we were influenced by this, you know, and Kiss never has. They were just about fun. And yeah, there's some songs I don't listen to because of my standards, but overall, they were just about going out, having fun, enjoying life, and that's really what rock and roll's about. So,
Absolutely. Their music really was always about more about having fun. And the songs vary. Like we don't have to get into the topic, but I'm not into Nothing to Lose, and we'll leave it there. But we'll leave it there. But
yes,
there's
I know where you're going.
you know where I'm going with that. We'll leave that one. People can read between the lines.
Yeah.
But there's songs that don't appeal to me. But then there's ones like "Come On and Love Me" or "King of the Nighttime World" or "Creatures of the Night," and they're just about living an exciting, fun life. It's not necessarily about alcohol, cold gin, but it's not necessarily about alcohol. It's never about drugs. It's always just about even imaginary things, "Into the Void" or 2000 Man. It's about that's to me those are superheroes. So I know 2000 Man is a Rolling Stone cover, but those are like superhero songs.
Mm-hmm. And here's a little bit of trivia. Do you realize Paul was the bandit before he was Star Child? Have you seen some of the earlier pictures where he did the band and he changed it over?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
and I do like Paul Stanley. I think I really like Ace. Peter's pretty cool. I like Eric Carr. He was not given enough.
Oh, he was
Uh,
wonderful.
and I love the fact they had in the beginning. I think you touched on this on your review video. You know their personas. And in
Mhm.
the beginning, the new members had to put up their own personas, and I like that better. I'm cool with Tommy there and Eric Singer, but I think it's a little bit of a robbery because the personas were always about demonstrating something from the inside of them. And so I always liked how Eric Carr did the fox. I thought that was a unique take from a cat to more of a canine.
I liked it, and he looked fantastic. Like it
Mhm.
was so personal. It was such good makeup. It was such a good angle. I thought that Vinnie Vincent's Ankh Man was kind of strange. I didn't
Yeah,
really know what
but
he was.
Vinnie Vincent's strange. So
Vinnie Vincent is strange. Yeah, Vinnie Vincent is a strange person. And I remember my best friend and I were watching like the Lick It Up video one time, and she's like, "Oh, Vinnie Vincent looks like your sister." You know, I have a big family, and so one of my older sisters has like the very dark black hair and like the piercing green eyes and like the moody face, and I'm like, "Oh, well, now I can't unsee that."
exactly. And I liked them like you touched on as business people. Uh, you can be greedy under any circumstance, but I'm a capitalist. I like the more I don't mind people. I actually did an article on my website about scalping versus making money off like different figures. I know with the new Motu figures, people are. I got a Skeletor on eBay, and I paid an okay amount, but some people are just going way out of the way with it. And there's a difference between scalping and making money. And Gene Simmons was like you said, he was always a businessman. Let's make money, but in doing that, they give the fans stuff. You know, both people profit, and I really like the fact that when they did that, I'm losing my train of thought. That's my head. But I like the fact they always said you wanted the best, you got the best. They always believe they were working for the fans. A lot of your big bands start out really good and they get rich and get maybe disenfranchised, but they feel like people are coming there to worship them. Versus, I like the model of I'm here to work for you. That's what Save Toys I've tried to do. Like with Save Toys Premium, people that have donated to the channel. I want to give them extra to make give a good incentive. I work for them. I try to make quality videos. Sometimes they're not always even at the par at the last minute what I think they should be. But I feel like I'm working for people that I should earn people to watch my videos instead of walk in. Some people YouTubers they make a 2-minute video and think I should be YouTube famous right now. I deserve you to watch my video. Don't criticize me. And I'm like, you're supposed to woo them in, work for them, and give them quality products, which your video does.
Thank you. No, and I really appreciate that. You know, going back to what you were saying about Kiss and merchandising, you can't be a sellout if it's been in the kind of the brand clause the whole time to provide merchandise. That's been day one with Kiss. And so they're not sellouts when this is always the thing. Now, when creating any sort of content, and this goes for, you know, bands like Kiss or digital content creators like us, you make a product and sometimes it doesn't always hit. I'm sure Kiss over there, you know, 70, not 70 years of, you know, what's the 1970s, you know, 60 years,
Yeah, no,
50,
yeah.
60 years of creating music and content. I'm sure somewhere out there, there's items that people are like, why would you have made that? So, you know, with me, I'll speak from my experience. My microphone has a tendency to just reset levels. I check it before I start
Mhm.
recording, and sometimes it just resets. So I'll make a video and I'm really proud of it, and it's just insanity the whole time. And you're just
Mhm.
like, do I remake this? Like my enthusiasm was so I was so happy, and now I have to remake this whole video. And that did happen to me once. And typically, I'm happier with the second take. And then, as you were saying, with criticism, you know, for me, I try not to. I try to take it like a champ. Um, People have the right to give feedback on products, but I think, and I wrote about this um, for my primary outlet, Pop Lurker. I wrote an article recently, being like, just because you have the opportunity to give feedback doesn't mean it's always welcome. And there's something really important about reading the room. Like if people want to give me technical feedback, I am always open because I know my lighting isn't always perfect. I know my background isn't always perfect. I'm getting a new microphone because it's definitely not perfect. There's just technical things that for me, editing is always welcome. But when people say, ooh, I didn't like your excitement in this video, or you left out a detail I wanted to hear, or why didn't you open that toy? You can't do a real toy review without opening it. The toy community is going to eat you alive. Like, get out of here. I don't want to hear that.
You're touching on some topics I'm very passionate about.
if you don't like the way I'm like you said, there's a difference in criticism and hate. Like criticism is constructive; it builds you up. Hate, you're not looking to improve anything; you're just looking to spout. If what I'm doing is so terrible, then go do your own. Then I've increased the market by you developing something
Yeah,
yourself. You know,
go do one better.
that's what it's all about.
Exactly. You can do better than me. Go somewhere else and do it better than me. Have fun.
And plus, life is not perfect. Like I do try to do it quality. I'm very. There's times I've taken 100 takes on my cell phone trying to record in here, and then there's times that I get it and get to the editing part and it's late and like it's not perfect, but the energy, like you said, was there. And I'm like, that's kind of life. Life is you do your best, and there's no excuse for not doing your best. But when you do your best and it's not perfect, uh, go do it. Like when I'm out working on my job, you know, you do your best, but there's imperfect moments, and that's what I really like about reality TV because it's not. You can tell there's not reality about it. Reality, we make mistakes. So
Yeah. No, it's true. And I think when it comes to digital content creating, especially in this COVID environment where everyone's home, my kids are home, my husband's home, everything is strange. My convention industry has shifted. We're starting to do small outdoor events, but we're doing them safely. But like I went from 14 conventions a year on the planning side to like things are weird. um but what I'm trying to illustrate is that people, especially in this climate, don't know what happened right before that camera started, right before
yeah,
that, hey everyone, I'm Loryn Stone with Toy Wizard, like before that moment, what happened. And of course, you need to check it at the door. You need to be, you need to be professional and create quality content and give it your all. But yeah, when people are like, what was wrong with you in that video? I'm like, it's called happiness, jerk. Like I was
yeah.
excited. What's your problem?
I love what I do. You know.
Sorry, I was really excited by that toy and less excited by this toy, but I was still enthusiastic enough to talk about it. Sorry if that optimism bothered you, bro. Like,
And I was same way being an EMT, the job I had before I had now, I used to go in at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm getting up at 5. I get off about 5, 6. My wife's a counselor at the school. I got a 19-year-old daughter and a now 3-year-old daughter. Come home, help out at home, get stuff. My wife's my heart, my kids. It's God, wife, kids, save toys. And so getting out
I was
to
gonna say, God, wife, kids, Motu.
and I'm always praying to God, can I find this figure? Can you help me out with this video? But I'd start recording about 8 o'clock. Time I got my baby in bed and all the family, we were all good and all. And I'd record to and do stuff till midnight. So people don't realize it's not about just saying hello to a camera and turning off a phone and being like, I'm a millionaire. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of. There's a guy that I watch, he's a YouTuber from California. He's a lawyer. I don't want to get you in trouble or anybody listeners. He's a conservative. Some people don't, but anyway, he started out. He as a conservative, he couldn't get a job as a lawyer really in California. So he said, "Hey, I'm going to start on YouTube," and he developed the show. And one day I remember him talking about YouTubers. He's like, the thing is, you you have to work a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and not get paid anything to get to the point where you start making money because it, it's something about a passion started project. If you get back to Kiss, one of the things I loved about them is they started out with absolutely nothing, going out and giving it to them. They always want to say, we're doing this as if we're playing Madison Square Garden. And
Mhm.
there's something about this is my own opinion. People can hate it or not. But like shows like American Idol, they're cool shows. But like going in, singing, and then getting famous overnight versus a band that went and barely got paid, barely had equipment, worked their way up to stardom, and then they have that passion that was built early on of sleeping in a car, having holes in your shoes, guitar strings that break, and wondering how you can, something about a passion project that when it does make it's beautiful. So
And there's always going to be in any industry, music, content creating, or otherwise, there's always going to be a mixture of like people who started from nothing and then people who were groomed. Boy bands are groomed. pop singers are groomed. They have a huge team of songwriters and producers behind them, and they're like, you're going to be a thing. This is how we're going to dress you up. This is what your music is going to be. This is what your PR is going to be. This is what your controversy is going to be. This is who your partner is going to be. Okay, now you're going to be this. Oh, wait, but now you're going to be that. And ooh, can you add some drugs to that? Like, so there's those weird layered stories. And I can say with confidence that there's weird YouTubers and content creators who are sort of groomed in the same way. Um, I know a young woman, and I say this with no disrespect. She's a wonderful person. I love her on a personal level. She's Instagram famous, and her content is just a series of like granola bar ads with a
Mhm.
happy family picture or a vitamin ad with a happy family picture. And she's a beautiful family and they're wonderful, wonderful people. But I sort of just don't understand how
Mhm.
the authenticity is lost for me. You know, it's strange. And this is actually an article I'm in the process of writing. I don't, I think we're in this very odd age of content that has no heart. I'm seeing
Yes.
a lot of people whose daily content is like, here's a picture of me, here's another picture of me, here's another picture of me, here's another picture of me. And it's like, I'm like, do you have toys or food that you like? Do you have children? I'm not saying children are for everyone, but like, do you have children? Do you have do you go to the park? Do you go to the beach? Do you go to the mountains? Is there a picture of a toy? Like, is there anything you like other than your smug face for the thousandth time and this is content? Like, they
Mhm.
have no heart. And I think
Exactly.
and it's the same with music and bands, to bring my tangent full circle. I'm really good at going off, I'm sorry. um to bring it back to content creating and a little bit of the struggle and finding your voice and the authenticity and that moment where you can make some money off of the hard work that you do and planning content and trying to make stuff for people to sincerely enjoy products that make people happy, or news articles or videos that make people happy. There's definitely something to be said about hard work versus something for nothing, I guess, is where I'm trying to go.
And I get really frustrated with jealousy with people like, you do make it big, you make good money, and then people will, you shouldn't have this for what have you. But I always use the analogy of an Olympic skater, and I don't know much about Olympics, and I don't know much about skating. I'm not a big sports buff, but it's a great analogy. You see them winning the gold medal, but you don't see all the hours and the mornings when, say, that person watching at home was in bed asleep. They were getting up and skating and working, and it's the same thing with content creators. People like us that work hard, and if we make it, then people are like, well, they shouldn't have that. Well, but we sacrifice the hours and we turn something we love into something that other people could love, and that just doesn't happen by accident. That comes from dedication. We learned how to use. Me, I didn't know much about computers when I started this. I still don't, but you learn how to edit. I really applaud people that put in hard work and create something, because it also gives back to people. Because think of all the people that worked at Marvel or DC that they never had the imagination to create these characters. And this room literally used to be a closet in my garage. That's all it would be without their ingenious and things like that. So
Mhm.
now, I probably need to cut for time, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Motu before we go. I saw your video. So, Tila or Evelyn, which one?
Evelyn, I was just thinking about this yesterday. I have a video coming to Toy Wizards where I'm going to discuss kind of like girly action figures, girly toys, and why they don't receive the same revival like boy toys do. New GI Joes, new Motus, Transformers, the Mighty Morphin Megazord keeps coming back, all good things. But girl toys don't receive a revival in the same way. I'm going to put that tangent aside. Again, that's a video coming to Toy Wizards, but it's a topic that I love. So, your question, Evelyn or Tila, I think it's so amazing that, Evelyn is just this warrior babe, part of a male, I say loosely, male action figure franchise. And then we have the whole Shira line, the 5-inch Shiras, 4.5, I don't know how big they are, but
Mhm.
that whole line back in the day, they were like, these are for girls, and here's your Shira, and here's their lacy skirts, and here's their pink swords, and here's her flocked lion, and here's the horse. But like, Evelyn is part of the boy toys. And I think that's a really important distinction to make. I love that character. like I had said I think in my Evelyn video, I had written I'd written an article along with a friend for Pop Lurker where we discussed the true villains, and we were arguing, is it Hordak, is it Skeletor? And I watched tons of Motu as a kid. It was on every day in syndication when I came home from school, and I watched tons and tons and tons. And it never occurred to me when I was a kid, like the badness that is Evelyn. Like she's ruthless. She doesn't
My
care.
boyfriend has a skull for a head.
And she's not afraid of him. He's all like, "Nah, you witch," and she's just like flipping him off proverbially. She doesn't care. Say whatever you want, bro. Like she doesn't care. Talk more. Talk more. You screaming muscle skeleton boy. Like she doesn't care, and that's what I love. She's unimpressed. I heard a quote one time that was like, "Never underestimate a beautiful woman who is unimpressed," and that's Evelyn.
Exactly. Well, Loryn, thank you so much for joining us here at Save Toys. I'll be putting your link in that when I upload this video. It'll probably be, for those watching it right now, when we're filming, it'll be a couple months. I try to have everything advanced, but it will be up and I'll keep you posted. Thank you for joining us here at the Nerd Cave at Save Toys.
Of course. Thank you again for having.
That's pretty much a wrap, and all I gotta say is if you like it, collect it. This has been Save Toys.